Yeah, I know that you like to quote Milton Friedman, and I recall seeing a video where he schools a university student, right, who asks him, well, why can't we aim for equality? What's the problem with that? You know, we need things to be more equal. What's the problem with aiming for equality? And Friedman basically says,
I'm not going to be able to give a full answer to your question because you've asked a very, very complex question, and so you're going to have to pardon me if I am a little dogmatic. But I only want to suggest that the statements I'm making are not without some thought and reason behind them. In my opinion, a society that aims for equality before liberty will end up with neither equality nor liberty. And a society that aims first for liberty will not end up with equality, but it will end up with a closer approach to equality than any other kind of system that has ever been developed. Now, that conclusion is based both on evidence from history, across history, and also, I believe, on reasoning which, if you try to follow through the implications of aiming first at equality, will become clear to you. You can only aim at equality by giving some people the right to take things from others. And what ultimately happens when you aim at equality is that A and B decide what C shall do for D. Except that they take a little bit of a commission off on the way.
do you want to get into that? Can you explain what I'm talking about here or what he was referring to?
Sure. It's a simple but profound argument, and I totally buy it. Friedman was saying there that you can't really get equality of outcomes without actually increasing inequality. And the reason for that is if you're going to micromanage outcomes and pick winners and losers, you need to give political authorities a lot of discretionary power to basically meddle with outcomes. How are they going to use that power? They're going to use it to enrich themselves, their friends, and their coalition. So the more that you try and push for equality of outcome, the less equal society becomes. What you can push for, and what we should push for, is equality with respect to governance procedures. Everyone has to follow the same rules, and those rules should apply to citizens generally and equally. Again, that's just the rule of law. The rule of law, if you actually understand it, is a deeply egalitarian principle. The idea that nobody is a natural master over anybody else, that everybody has to follow the same rules, that everybody has to follow the same procedures, that there is nobody who is legally privileged over anybody else. That was one of the most important points advocated by Enlightenment liberalism political philosophy, which of course was one of the things animating the American Revolution. So you could say that our entire republic is founded on that idea of the rule of law. And so I, for one, would like to see a lot more being done to bring that back to American public affairs.
So, Alex, why do you think that rule of law has disintegrated in America? What happened there, in your opinion?
Oh, goodness, that's a complicated question. A series of crises whereby every reason that we've given for departing from the rule of law had a seemingly good reason. This emergency came up, we can't just stand back and do nothing. The Great Depression, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam, Great Inflation. Every single time that something comes up whereby we quote-unquote have to do something, there's always a reason whereby we put stable and predictable rules to the wayside and start engaging in extraordinary policies. Well, the more you do that, the harder it becomes over time to actually get back to a genuine rules-based framework. An economic historian, Robert Higgs, wrote convincingly about what's called the ratchet effect in American economic history. With every crisis, government gets bigger and more discretionary. And after the crisis passes, you do see some shrinkage, some reversion back to normal, but never fully. So government is permanently larger and permanently more discretionary. And so we basically saddled ourselves with a larger and more arbitrary government over decades, and we don't really have any way of unwinding that process. So the exigencies of the moment basically push us in a direction which, looked at from the citizen's perspective over the long term, is deeply destructive, right? Not just in terms of economic outcomes, which it is, but in terms of the basic civic norms of our republic.